Hello, everybody. I would like to relay a message to the District Attorney, Mr. Thompson. The message is as follows. We heard what happened with Mr. Patterson. There was a bunch of members that is known to be belonging to the Shomrim. There was a group, 5, we know they were involved in physically beating him up, and it goes as far as saying that there were a group of 15 plus the 5, which is altogether 20. But it doesn't make a difference. So now the Shomrim have a lot of problems. So the first thing that they did is, as they were taught in Williamsburg, to keep everything secret. Rabbi Niederman, who ran the United Jewish Organization, he was so corrupt in every aspect, which I'm not going into now. He always used to say, the reason why we're successful is because we have a way to keep everything in the community. Nothing should go out. All the Jewish precincts, the 90th precinct in Williamsburg, the 66th precinct in Borough Park, and all over the same way, they are all standing together with the Jewish people because of votes and favoritism and so forth. Now, the Shomrim is writing a letter that these people don't belong to Shomrim, and also how much the community needs the Shomrim, and so forth and so on. I would like to deliver a clear message. For years, I've been explaining on my hotline, if it wasn't for Shomrim that are hiding all sexual abuse and the corrupt police, and the rabbis who put pressure on them, we would have no sexual abuse. We would be a clean community like every other community, non-Jewish people. The only reason why we were able to finagle and molest and rape every Jewish boy or Jewish girl is because of this corruption which is called Shomrim. Let me just give you a few examples. Number 1, Leibel Karletsky was probably raped or sexually abused, and then he was dismembered, and the government promised us to give us videos. So what happened, it's almost 3 years and there is no videos because in Borough Park, Mr. Dov Heiken and Yankel Daskal, who is the head of the Shomrim, are fighting that they should watch the videos and not the police. So why does anybody think that the Shomrim is an asset to our community? There's another thing. About a half a year ago, a girl was raped in Borough Park in the outside of her home between 2 houses, and both houses had videos. The Shomrim sent around the videos to their members with a picture. But then the man must have got to the Shomrim, paid them off or threatened them off, and all of a sudden it's quiet. The member of Shomrim that told me the story, I begged of him, let me see the picture. He couldn't find it, and that was the end of it. We have one of the most corrupt people in the system. His name is Rabbi Berish Freilich, who was kicked out from the state police. He's one of the most corrupt people, and he is the liaison for the police. Can you imagine who we are using and who the Shomrim's head people are? It's a shame. Okay, now, the Shomrim claim that these 5 people who are picked up have nothing to do with Shomrim. So why is it that a story just bloomed out that the Shomrim went around to try to erase the whole neighborhood, all the cameras that were there? Years ago, when my community beat me up, they were running after me, throwing all different posters in the streets, I went into the 90th precinct to make a complaint. While sitting there for hours, somebody comes in and he gives a complaint that he was beaten up by a certain person. The liaison from the police department to the Jewish community happened to have been there. He calls up the person that the complaint was made on him, and he says, come down right away and make a counter complaint, and then the police will throw out the whole complaint. So this is the way this community was run. It was run by people who claimed that they were doing good for the community, and on the contrary, they were doing the worst. Now let me tell you a story. These 5 people were picked up. The same day, I go in the street, and young boys of about 15, 16 years waited for me on the street where I passed. They had stones and they threw the stones at me. Luckily, I have a duffel bag coat, and I wasn't hurt. I turn around, they're running into the synagogue Satmar on 165 Climate Street, and I can't go in there because it's private property, and that's the shul that threw me out, because that's where I was a member 30 years. They stripped my membership, so I cannot walk in there. So meanwhile, the boys are safe. Across the street, there's a video, and I tell the officer, I made a complaint to 911, and I tell the officer, there's a video across the street. The officer didn't have the decency or the courtesy to try to make efforts to get that video. So now these boys are in the street. Now they're heroes. They were the ones that threw stones at Rabbi Rosenberg. I want to tell you, Mr. Thompson, if you want to straighten out the DA's office, you will only do it if you will learn the methods of the Jewish people, how they run their community. You know, we read and see on television that there are Arabs that take boys and girls 4 or 5 years old. They take them in different camps in South America. They take them in camps in Africa. And these boys or girls, before they can even get a chance to live, they know how to operate machine guns. It's a shame. The whole world condemns it. I want to tell you something. If you really look in what's happening in our communities, in the Jewish communities, it's exactly the same method. And by the way, it's only a few people that are doing it, but everybody's afraid to open them out because these are powerful people. Just like in the Arab world. I'm sure that 99% of the Arab world don't agree with taking children. Instead of giving them a beautiful education, they make terrors out of them. Now, when I opened my hotline, there was a rabbi, his name is Froyam Stern. He started off being a principal in London, and he beat up a child very badly. They threw him out. He came to the States. He started with the Aaronite, and they threw him out. They saw he was a no-good guy. So the Zalmanite used him because they want to work themselves up. He went around in a summer camp 4 or 5 years ago. He went to all the children, and he said, I want you to know we have a devil, a man that we have to get rid of him, by hook or by crook. I want all the children, when they come back from the Catskill Mountains, they should stand in front of Rabbi Rosenberg's house, spit at him, spit at his children, spit at everything that he owns. Now, he explained to the children, a child you can't hit, but if you hit an adult, nothing can be done to you. And after the summer, all of a sudden, thousands of children were going in the streets next to my place where I live. They did the most horrible thing that there is. Now, to me, this is exactly the same as these Jihad Muslims teach those small children to shoot with a gun. The only thing is they don't need a gun in Williamsburg, because the way they act to these people, they'll run away way before you'll have to use a gun. But I want you to know that the Shmeres Atzmius, who is also part of the Shomrim, do walk around with illegal guns. I had this on my hotline 2 weeks ago, where a person told me he was threatened with a gun in his face. So, Mr. Thompson, if you want to straighten out the community, you have to learn our infrastructure before you start. Don't build a 20-story building on earth that you didn't check out if it can take the capacity. First dig in, see what's happening. And only after that, you will understand what's going on. We, 90% of the people in Williamsburg, want that the Shomrim should be dismantled and put into jail. All 20 of them, lock, stock, and barrel. When Leibel Kaletsky was missing, there's a Mr. Friedman, who is a photographer. He is known to be a pedophile in the community. This Mr. Friedman went around all night with literature of the Shomrim that he's looking for Leibel Kaletsky. He had these lights, the siren, and a PA system. The Shomrim did not bother to call the police for several hours. We would like to know, do we pay our tax money to Shomrim, or do we pay it to the United States government and the state? Now, does the United States government feel that they can't handle a community like Williamsburg or Borough Park and they need help from the Shomrim? Wow, if that's so, what are we doing all over the world trying to make peace and trying to send soldiers. If we can't even take care of Williamsburg or Borough Park, which has maybe 200,000-300,000 people, it's a shame for the government to use these people, and beside of which they have a bad reputation. They do things against the law. All their life they've been beating up people. And Mr. Thompson, I have a message for you. I went to City Hall to see these people who were sitting for nothing, and they were released. The whole list of people were there. And I said to my neighbor that was standing next to me, do you know something? He says, what? I said, would you believe that everybody here is black except for one person that was Puerto Rican, which is not white either? Mr. Thompson, they use the black people to wipe the floors. This is not a coincidence. This is a racial hate crime against the black. And you think that the black in the United States have civil rights. Well, think twice. I'm going to tell you another thing. I just saw a picture of Mr. Tash Patterson, and he looks to be black too. It's a shame, Mr. DA, what's happening here. I remember when you ran to become DA, and we all helped you, we stood by your side. And you said one of the things I will wipe out is that they're picking on black people, consumers in shopping centers, they're checking them out just because they're black. Happens to be a lot of them are very high intelligent and high profile people. We want you to keep that commitment. And at the same time, Mr. Thompson, I have something to tell you. You know me, you saw me. I am black too. The rabbis and Shomrim and Mishmeres Hatznius made me for the black sheep in town. It's a shame. The same day when they arrested these 5 people from Shomrim, I walked through a synagogue outside on the city sidewalk. Didn't bother anybody. And the teenage boys who were taught in camp 5 years ago that I am evil started to throw stones at me. Mr. Thompson, you are my last hope and the last hope of the people in the community who don't want this to happen. Also, Mr. Thompson, you can see a comparison between Mr. Tash Patterson and me. Mr. Tash Patterson, they tore his retina. They made him blind for life, unfortunately. We all are sorry that this happened. Now, if you remember a story with Mr. Melech Schnitzler, who threw bleach in my face, and I had a retina ambrosia. For almost 2 days, I was blind on one eye. If not for the mercy of the Holy God, who looks down and sees how I fight for the rights of the children, I don't get paid for this, and no honor for this in my community, and I still fight for the rights of the children. So it was the mercy of God that put back together the retina. Mr. Thompson, we don't want this to happen. We don't want it to happen to a Jewish person. We don't want it to happen to a Gentile. We don't want it to happen to the white, and we don't want it to happen to the black. They're all God's created people, and God created everybody equal. He created Adam, one person, and everybody is equal after that. So be so kind. Learn first the infrastructure from this community. Pick up all the people of the Shomrim and put them in jail. And the ones that you can't pick up because of lack of evidence and so forth, do us a favor. Dismantle this organization completely. We want to deal direct with the police and not with the Shomrim. I thank you very much.